the today's session. So basically routing. What is meant by routing? In a simple way, routing is nothing but navigation. Okay, it is a navigation from one component to the another component. Correct? You have to navigate from one component to the another component. We use a routing for that purpose. Okay. Many other purposes there also, but initially that is a navigation from one component to the another component. To implement a routing, we have to fixed steps to implement that routing. I mean, at least basic 3 steps are present to implement that routing. First step is configure the route. Okay, that is the most important. Configure the route. If you want to perform any routing, you have to configure your route, a particular which component when route when we click on button click or any image click, we have to route where. So that configuration you have to mention in your app.routing.module.ts file. That routing file is already created by the Angular at the time of project creation, because that time they ask, would you like to add a routing? In that case, we just mark it yes and hit the enter. That routing file is created for you by default Angular. Then second configuration steps is use a router outlet tag. That is basically router outlet is a component directive. Okay. But we use that component directive. Without a router outlet, we cannot perform any routing. Whether you mention that configure the route, all these things, but still without using router outlet, we cannot perform any routing. Okay, so router outlet tag is the most important. With the help of router outlet tag, we can perform your navigation. Third step is establish a link or navigate to a component. Okay, what exactly it is? So if you want to perform any routing, you have to mention the link of that where to route, where to move on another component. For that, we have to establish a link or navigate. These two approaches is used in a routing. First is a using a router link, and second is that navigate method. That is, we can routing with the help of programmatically. We can use routing with the help of programmatically. So these two approach we use. But whenever we using this two approach, the first 2 steps is common. If you are using router link or if you are using navigate method using programmatically, about 2 steps is a common for both approach. Okay, so to understand this routing, just we create a simple UI. With the help of that UI, we can perform a route. Okay, so first we'll discuss how we create a UI. Initially, we can here create a simply first our default component, that is our hello world. Hello world, or we can create a, for example, home component. We can create a default component, that is a home component. Okay, in that home component, we can establish, for example, page 1. Okay, then page 2, page 3. I'm just purposefully giving the name like page 1, page 2, page 3, because I have to explain the various functionality concept on that route. So I'm just giving the name as like page 1, page 2, page 3. Okay, then just next follower, and we can mention last is a query parameter. Okay, so we establish that link. When we click on page 1, it will render your page 1 component. Okay, means whatever the home component is displayed, that home component is vanish, or we can leave that home component and render it your page one component in that home component. Okay, so when we click on page one component, it render a page one component. Same as it is, we click on page two, page three. Okay, follower component. Then according to that page two component, you have to render. If you have create a page three component should be rendered. Same as follower. When we create a, when we click on follower component should be rendered. Okay. For example, we create we click on a component, it will display the follower component. But in that follower component, we can make one more link, because we have to create routing inside the routing. Okay, for that we create some my follower is another link. My follower, sorry. Okay, in that my follower, if we when we click on my follower, sorry, when we click on uh, my follower, it will open your my follower component. Okay, so when we click on that my follower, it will open your my follower component as well. But when we click on follower component in that my follower, here we can mention one more link. When we create a follower, when we click on follower component, it will come back to your follower component that we can link establish. Here we call it as a my follower. Okay, and also in a follower component, we create one more link, that is a home component. When we click on home component, it come back to your home component as well. When we click on query parameter, it will open your query parameter. Okay, in that query parameter, it will display a query parameter. Okay, so such type of UI we can create here.